Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. To get the most out of this video, I suggest listening to the report while you're cleaning or exercising, maybe creating something or driving down the road. Listen to the intro so that you know what's going to affect you and when it's going to happen in the week ahead. Lastly, use the timestamps in the description to go to your rising sign, sun sign, and moon sign in order to learn how things will affect you personally. I need to let everyone know that this forecast is just a general read. It is not a specific read. You would really require an astrological reading from an astrologer who analyzes your own personal chart to make specific recommendations for you. So this is a general read, and I'd like to welcome anyone who is new to astrology here. You can learn to read your own astrology chart through undertaking my short and very cheap course. The link is in the description below. To all of my friends who join me every week here, who are part of my YouTube connection and community, thank you for liking and sharing the videos, and thank you to all those new subscribers who come along too. I love you. To my gold, silver and bronze star family, well, I pray for you every day. And if you want to join the Guiding Star family, the link is also in the description below. Don't forget to go to the end of the video where I've got an oracle card forecast for everyone. It's a single card read for the week ahead. Check that out. It's for everybody here. And now to our spotlight for the week ahead and the astro weather. So there's so much going on in this week's astral weather. We're going to explore the big guns, the big connections that are happening, the big conversations that are happening in the language of the heavens. And the first one right out of the gate on Saturday the 18th, check the description box below, which will go into where it's falling and when it's happening for all the aspects we're going to talk about in this video. Rather than me running through them all, just jump to the description box. You'll find all the information you need right there. But the first one here in Melbourne time, and that's what I'm working with, you can check your time zone in the description box. We've got Mercury making a square to Pluto. So here's Pluto in Capricorn around 26 degrees, and it's making a square to Mercury at around 26 degrees of the sign of Aries. That's what's happening first. Now the good news is that on this same day that Mercury is squaring Pluto, we're also getting a Mercury sextile to Jupiter and a sextile to Mars happening. So that is going to be a very interesting day. We're getting some good support from Mars and from Jupiter to Mercury on this day. But the big one we want to have a look at, the one that's going to pack a bigger punch, so to speak, is the Mercury-Pluto square. So we're going to explore that one. It's about going deep. That's what Pluto's all about. It wants to get to the core of things. It wants to understand the depths. And Mercury, being a very mental planet, wants to literally understand the depths in the logical brain, in the mind. But keep in mind that this is a square aspect, and so the process may not be an easy one. There might be a lot of tension as you unravel certain deep psychological truths about yourself through the workings of your brain. One of the other things that this triggers is thinking taken to an extreme, where we overthink, where we just go deep, swirling in the tornado of our mind with our thoughts. And of course, that can be very challenging. And if you're juggling certain self-esteem issues that you're mentally processing and going over and over, if you're dealing with a circumstance with a contract, Mercury's contracts, you might be going over and over and over the fine print, just looking for something that might trip you up in the future and getting almost obsessed by the details of the contract. You might be finding that because Mercury rules advertising and marketing as well, that's another area of life where you might be swirling in the whirlpool, getting caught up with the fine detail, because Mercury is fine detail, rather than just saying, look, let's just run with it. Let's just go with it, put it out there. Let's look at the big picture. Let's take a leap of faith. Mercury doesn't want to do that on this day. Mercury ends up getting caught in the whirlpool of overthinking, overanalyzing, being almost obsessive in their approach to the things that Mercury rules. So, of course, this then brings a lot of difficulties in our mental processes with worrying, anxiety, overthinking, extreme introspection, and extreme anxiety, particularly if we're prone to anxiety. So I want to give you a bit of a tip. I want to give you some remedies that can really help at this time, because it's nothing worse. I don't know, maybe there are things that are worse, but it is awful when you're caught in your head and you can't get out of your own thoughts. Even though it might be the sunniest, happiest spring or autumn day in the world, and friends are laughing around you and you're in the most exquisite surroundings and having a wonderful time otherwise, but you're caught in your head and it's bringing you down, and then you feel guilty because here you are in this wonderful situation in life and things should be great and you can't even enjoy it because you're so caught in your head, and then the guilt is heaped on as well. It's a challenging aspect, this one. So here are some remedies. Mercury in modern astrology rules the lungs, so breath work is a very good thing to do. So that would include, say, taking a 3-second breath in, 1, 2, 3, and then breathing out for 6, expelling as much air, but also expel the negative tension. Visualize yourself expelling the negative tension as you blow out for 6. Inhale through your nose, which is a far better practice than through the mouth. It's more calming. Inhale through the nose for 3 and out for 6. So I'd encourage you to do breath work. Mantras, because mantras are repetition of certain, affirmations, or if you're into chanting, that sort of thing, that can calm the brain, because Mercury is to speak. And of course, if we are speaking something that's a calming words or calming tones in a chant or something like that, then it can actually help ease the tension. If you're into mindfulness and present moment awareness, try to center yourself in the now and focus on what is going on around you. And, if you observe your thoughts wandering, pull them back into line. Come on, guys, let's enjoy the sunshine and the lake and wherever you happen to be enjoying your day. Even if you're at work and maybe you have a nice view out the window. Okay, it's lovely to ponder and daydream out the window, but let's pull our thoughts back into the present and just enjoy maybe getting involved in what we're doing, or having a break if we need to have a cup of tea and do some breath work. And speaking of tea, herbal teas are a great centering thing as well. So you pour yourself a cup of tea, you really come into the present moment by inhaling the fragrance of the tea, enjoying the sensation of the warmth of the tea on your lips or in the cup in your hands, and focusing on all the sensations of a cup of herbal tea. Chamomile I would highly recommend for just slowing things down a little bit for you. In Vedic astrology, they actually believe that Mercury is connected to green. So wearing green stones, like I have a green stone in my ring, wearing green stones, wearing green colors can be very helpful to balance Mercury energy. And I would also add to this, keep things as simple as you possibly can on these days mentioned in the description box below. Don't engage in intense debates with other people, because they will really strike you to the core. If someone doesn't agree with you, avoid getting into conflict situations online, because it's really going to damage you under this energy, and just sort of walk away. Don't engage. Avoid nasty gossip wherever possible. And like I said, walk away and try to embrace the idea that everybody has a different point of view, and they're entitled to have their different point of view. It is not your responsibility to change other people's minds about anything. The universe will guide them where they need to go to discover what they need to discover in the energetic course of their life, but it is not your job to bash someone over the head trying to convert them through your words, through your debates, through your arguments. And I want to encourage you to seek to transform, Pluto is transformation, your own mind, your own thought processes. And you can do that through reading, through having intelligent conversations in a calm, respectful manner with people. You may like to go online and transform your mind through perhaps, Googling or YouTubing, meditation practices or mindfulness exercises or breath work. And there's plenty of videos on that sort of thing online. I'd encourage you to get in on that because Mercury rules social media. And it also rules, activities that calm the mind, which we really want to engage in on this particular day, the 18th of April, Melbourne time. The next energy, and this is quite an interesting one, it only happens once a year. It is Venus in a conjunction with Uranus. Now, this is happening on the 23rd of April in some parts of the world and the 22nd of April in other parts. So do make sure you check the description box below to find out what time this is happening in your part of the world. But this is a chance to claim liberation for all things ruled by Venus right now. So what a great day we're looking at. And of course, Venus rules love and beauty. Venus rules self-worth, and in fact, anything that we value, where our values come from, is ruled by Venus as well. Money, pleasures, luxuries, enjoyment, all ruled by Venus. All the great things, the lovely things that we actually want to be present in our life are ruled by Venus. And in a conjunction with Uranus, Uranus wants to free us to enjoy those things, to liberate us, to get more out of those particular things of Venus in our life. So Uranus is excitement. You might find that under this energy, you're very excited about some financial deal that you're doing, or the state of your bank account, or you might get very excited about perhaps some opportunity to buy something, or going shopping, or having a dinner out, or you might find that you're just bubbling with enthusiasm to maybe go to a concert or a play or something that you ordinarily couldn't care less about. But because of Uranus's influence, it will excite things to do with the nature of Venus. So you're not going to feel stagnant about these things of Venus either. Your money won't stay stagnant. Your money will tend to sort of move in some way, shape or form. Either you'll be shopping and enjoying it and giving your money out, or you might receive some money or an influx of, maybe clients purchasing something off you and money comes your way. So that could be a great blessing as well. Uranus and Venus combined can do that. So it can be liberating for your hip pocket. It can be liberating for your contacts list as well, because Venus is a friendly planet and a very forgiving planet. So you might embrace people back into your life who you had recently or may have otherwise walked away from at some point. You can be liberated with a relationship and friendship in some manner too. So that can be very nice if you want to rebuild a connection and forgive somebody. And so this is a perfect energy to do that under. Because Venus rules budgets, it's a really great day to revisit your budget and revise it. And the reason that is because Uranus likes to change things and shake things up. So you might get some new instinctive insights about how you can make your budget work better for you by revisiting and reanalyzing and making a few changes and tweaks. Change your monetary habits on this day, and it could really liberate you long term. I really want to encourage you to trust your instincts as well, because Uranus is a celestial planet, so therefore it's like gut instinct. And if you get goosebumps about an investment idea, or you feel a bubbling up of excitement or chills down your spine or something, like the good chills, not the someone's walked over my grave chills, but the good chills, then this is Uranus giving you a message in connection to Venusian things. Because Uranus rules electricity, including the electricity of the body, the neurological system. And that's what goosebumps are. It's like your body's electrical system going, hello, we're switching things on. And so trust that. Whenever you get goosebumps, trust it. But on this particular day, the 23rd or the 22nd, depending where you are, this is going to be powerful as an illumination, if you like, of Venusian matters that you can work with in your life. Now, if you're in the dating scene or if you're in a relationship, this could bring in a very liberating type of relationship your way. If you're single and, on Bumble or RSVP or one of those things, this energy could bring someone across your path that electrifies you, that gives you some excitement, that might shake you out of a rut relationally. Woohoo! Lots of fun. But, here is the but. Anything that started under Uranus energy, such as this one, it's unlikely to last because Uranus is a very fast energy. It's quick, it's pacey, but it's not for the long-term marathon. It's just quick and then off. It's like, it rules electricity. It's like a light switch. Boop, 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 on and off, on and off, on and off. And so relationships can be that way when they're formed under a Uranian influence. So, have a bit of fun with it. See it for what it is. Don't get too upset if it doesn't last long, and just, thank the universe for shaking you out of a rut or giving you, renewed hope in an area of life with your relationships or something through this interaction, and then move on. Don't be, too clingy. Uranus relationships just cannot handle clinginess. So going into that realm is just, you're asking for trouble. If you're in a relationship, Venus rules relationships, remember, and this is of the romantic kind as well as friendly kind as well, friendship kind. But if you're in a relationship, you can get your mojo back if things have been a bit stale, a bit ho-hum, a bit yawn city. You can get some excitement coming back into your relationship. Be doing the mundane chores, cooking dinner, and your partner will come up behind you and put his arms around you, give you a kiss and a cuddle, and it's like, that kind of little magical moments in the ordinary everyday can be really beautiful, and actually, in my opinion, are what is needed to sort of keep a relationship bubbling along. So if you're feeling so inclined, jump on that inclination to cuddle, to kiss, to be playful, to indulge with your partner in some way, to give words of love and affirmation and kindness or little tokens of affection. Venus loves that sort of thing. So go for it. Because Uranus is going to help you and inspire you to get the mojo back. I'd add to that as well, Uranus is unconventional. It's bohemian. It likes to do things very left of center. And so with that in mind, maybe you could line up some sort of eccentric date or a visit to a bohemian art gallery or something like that, or do something very unusual with your partner today, and it will really help the relationship to flourish. If you're single, and you're not looking for a relationship at all, and there's lots of people who are in that boat, then why not enjoy some, as I've just described, some eccentric Uranian activity on this day. Uranus is very connected to subcultures, like the alternative kind of, rockabilly, steampunk, that kind of stuff. Why not go, like Venus is to enjoy cultural pleasures. Why not go out and enjoy, maybe a steampunk festival, or go and watch a very quirky movie, maybe go and, visit a funky cafe that's, run by some local hippies or hipsters or something like that. The quirkier the better, and the less mainstream the better. Do that, enjoy that sort of energy, and you will totally come out feeling buzzing, happy, electrified because of the experience. Then, because we have Mercury and Venus traveling so close together, we're going to find that the day after Venus, Uranus have been in conjunction, we're going to have Mercury and Uranus in conjunction. Again, check out the description box to find out what days and what time zones this is occurring for you. What happens when these two, Mercury, Uranus, get together? Wow. It's great, actually. It's a wonderful energy because Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. Mercury is sort of the earthbound representation of Uranian energy, which is the celestial representation of very mental, analytical, scientific thought processes, mental communications, and those sorts of things, and internet and social media, blah, blah, blah. They are both represented at differing sort of levels by Uranus and Mercury. So the mental sparks are going to be firing today. These airy planets coming together, putting you in your head a great deal, actually. So your mental activity is very heightened, like no other, really. So throw your mind into things that require some mental exertion. So that might mean you working on a project, especially a creative project. Oh my God, Uranus is so creative and brilliant and genius-like. So throw your mind behind any projects you've been working on. Maybe you're writing a course that you want to teach. Well, get on it on this day, because you're going to have new insights, new ideas that are going to take that course to the next level. Love this energy. I like to grab my dream book. I'm a bit old school. I like to write by hand. And I like to grab my dream book and I'll go to a cafe, get a brewed chai, and I'll just sit there and wait for whatever creative inspiration might come to me on a day like this, when the mental sparks are flying. And it's incredible what comes to me. The new insights, the new projects, the new ideas, boom, there they are. And it's all on, and my dream book's usually full of scribbles and wonderful concepts and drawings and what have you. So if you're into that sort of thing, do it on this day. You will not go wrong. Not only that, but Uranus, sorry, I got an eyelash in my eye. Uranus is very, we've been talking about, quite bohemian and unusual. He's also very embracing. He's all about equality, and what you believe is fine by you, as long as you let me believe what I want to believe, and let's all be brothers, brotherhood of man, very Uranian. So it's a terrific energy to be socializing with people that you wouldn't ordinarily mix with, because you'll learn so much from them. So again, if you want to go hang out at a bohemian festival or something like that with people that you wouldn't ordinarily mix with, do it. Get on it, because you will grow, you will expand your mind under this influence. And you can socialize very amiably and pleasurably and enjoyably with people from a totally different mindset to you and a totally different background potentially to you as well. The other thing that I want to point out is that Mercury rules the news. In older times, he was in charge of newspapers and magazines. These days, news on the internet, anything. If you're a highly mercurial person, or a Gemini person particularly, you want to be where the news is happening, in the center of things, so you can get the latest goss, the latest info, and be first to understand something and know about something. That's very much an energy of Mercury in Gemini. So here, when Mercury is in a conjunction with Uranus, expect surprising news. Something unexpected that's, I didn't see that coming, or I wouldn't have never have thought that would have happened, in the news, globally, locally, and everywhere in between. So be as ready as you are able to be for something unexpected to happen, news-wise as well. Some sort of new information that comes your way that you weren't looking for, that you didn't expect, and boom, there it is. I would also try and set aside some time, as well as using your dream book if you've got one. I would try and set aside some time today to read something, particularly something, not so much a fantasy novel or anything. That's a Neptune thing. I would encourage you to read something scientific or knowledgeable today, like an astrology book, or you might like to watch a documentary on Gaia TV or something like that, because that's what this energy is all about. It's not reading for pleasure or learning, reading a fantasy book, like I said. It's learning something to expand and grow your mind with knowledge and with wisdom and insight, and create more genius in your mind. So mathematics, science, anything technical, get into it under this energy. I would also just encourage you to perhaps have some magnesium handy. And the reason is, whenever we have a strong transit involving Uranus can be, because he rules the electricity systems of the body, he can make us a bit twitchy. I don't know if you've ever felt, your eye like jumping up and down, and you think, oh, everyone must be looking at me and thinking I've got some sort of problem. But it's really, nobody ever sees it. It's something we notice, a jumpy eye or a muscle twitch or something, and other people don't usually notice that sort of thing. But we're more prone to that on days when Uranus is getting a big transit. And of course, we've got Venus and Mercury both transiting around the same time. If Uranus is moving across your ascendant, oh man, stock up on the magnesium, because you could be going through a year or more when you need to take magnesium supplements to ease the muscle twitches. It's up to you. I don't really feel there's any damage done with a few muscle twitches here or there, but if it bothers you, take magnesium. That will help alleviate that. I actually, just because I'm a bit weird this way and I love Uranus energy, whenever I find I'm having a bit of a muscle twitch, I'll be like, Uranus, yes, like I just love it, because to me it's a reminder, it's a physical embodiment of Uranus's presence and that he's doing something energetically in my life, which I love. So it's up to you, but magnesium is a good thing to have in the cupboard if you're not really someone who enjoys muscle spasms. Then the day after that, so it's boom, 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 boom this week. The day after that, on the 25th, we are having a square from Venus to Saturn. Let's draw this on the board so you can see it displayed. I hope using the board helps people to understand what aspects are forming. So we've got a square from Saturn here in Aquarius happening to Venus. Now, by this point, Venus has moved just beyond Uranus, but we know all throughout this year, Uranus and Saturn are tangling in a square aspect all year long. So we're getting a few hits of this. We've had one already, there's 2 more to go. But that's just how close Uranus and Saturn are right now. So that 2 days earlier, Venus is conjunct with Uranus, 2 days, and then we've got the square happening with Venus and Saturn. And this is an energy that occurs, well, it happens about twice a year actually, and it's a challenging one, as all Venus-Saturn hard aspects are. Now, that said, Venus and Saturn are actually friends in Vedic astrology. They don't hate each other's guts, they actually can support and help one another. So when we're having a difficult aspect like this, it can be an indicator that there is something good that might come out of this in the long term, because Venus and Saturn are friends. But whatever unfolds is not going to be, get out the party poppers and the champagne kind of stuff. It's quite the opposite. It's like, put on your work clothes and get down to duty. So let's have a look at what that's all about. Again, times for each major city in the world will be down below in the description box. Nobody really enjoys Venus-Saturn hard aspects, but this is a chance for us to be forearmed in readiness for this transit on the 25th. It's an energy that can actually stress your love life and your relationships. So you've gone through a bit of invigoration, hopefully, with Uranus and Venus a couple of days earlier, and then hopefully, because you've been invigorated and shaken out of a rut, you're like in a good mental space relationally to deal with the heaviness that comes with the Saturn-Venus aspect. So it's not just relationships that can be stressed, it's any connections with women. Venus rules particularly young women, and not so much the sort of maternal women, but sort of young women. So you might have a run-in with your local barista who doesn't make the coffee the way you wanted it, and you get strict with her and say, now, hey, I want my coffee the way I've ordered it, If you're into being a Karen, that's something you might do. But it's also because we've got Saturn and Venus in a hard aspect. Saturn brings shyness. So you might feel like, if you're a man, you might be feeling very shy around women. If you're a woman, you might be feeling a bit shy around other women, particularly if your chart's inclined that way. We can have fears. Saturn rules fear. And we can have fears around our self-worth and our self-value. Where did that come from? Yesterday I was confident as anything. Today, I just feel like, it doesn't matter what I wear, I don't feel good about myself, or it doesn't matter what I say, I feel like I'm always putting my foot in my mouth, and my value and my self-worth takes a dive. Saturn is old things. Age-old criticisms can come back to haunt our self-worth and self-value. So if you were heavily criticized as a child, and you're going about your life, you thought you dealt with that crap, and lo and behold, Saturn, Venus, age-old criticism for something that has impacted your self-worth, boom. And you're having to go through all that again and peel back another layer of that wound to the self. Obviously, it's a pretty wobbly kind of day mentally and emotionally because of these kinds of things going on. I would say don't be afraid to enjoy your own company today. The energy of Saturn rules singleness. And Saturn connecting with the planet of relationships is saying, look, it's not really, even if you're in a relationship, it's really not going to float your boat to be connecting with others on this day. Enjoy a bit of solitude. Enjoy a bit of peace and quiet and you time. And that is a better way to deal with this energy rather than trying to push and strive and make a relationship sort of buzz when the energy is just not behind you to do that. So you might as well, grab a book and read a cup of tea and read a book instead of, trying to engage and make a relationship work, or go for a solo bike ride. Just do something you enjoy. Venus is pleasurable things that we like. Do something that you enjoy on your own. Don't try to bring in other people into your pleasures under this energy. I would say do something that connects you more with your own self-love as well. So if you like to paint. Now, you might not be overly satisfied with what you produce, but it's going to lift your spirits more than moping, in depression about I suck and, whatever sort of self-devaluing thoughts you're having, sitting on the couch in that state. You're better off to go and, paint a picture that you wouldn't really put on Facebook, but you might feel better by indulging in something that you love, like painting, sewing, designing something. Of course, Venus rules nature as well, so being out in nature, in the environment, in the fresh air, in the sunshine, do that as well. Anything that can help you feel more connected to your own self-love and the love of the universe as well. Now, no surprises whatsoever that you can feel very lonely on this day. So, you might choose to be in solitude. There might be others who are, through circumstances they don't appreciate, are kind of forced to be in solitude, which makes them feel somewhat lonely. Now, that will all depend on your natal chart. Remember, this is a general read, not a specific read for everyone. So take what I share with a bit of a grain of salt, realizing that your chart, like if you're like me, I'm a total recluse. And that's, that's cool with me. I don't mind that. So a bit of self, being by myself in solitude and what have you, it's like, yep, whatever. I love it. Bring it on. If you're a social butterfly, it's going to be tough. You'll be feeling lonely under this energy, maybe even if you're out in a crowd. So it really depends on your natal chart how you interact with these feelings that are going to come up with Saturn square Venus. It's also a day when your budget might be a little bit tight. No one really likes that very much, but it's just the energy of the day. And remember, it will pass. The same with your feelings of loneliness. It will pass. It is a one-day transit where, it's going to be a tight conjunction, and then it's going to ease off as Venus moves along and further away. So don't get too caught up in this. See it for what it is. Be objective. Be wise with your budget, zip up your pockets. Don't, go throwing the money around. You'll regret it because, as I said, budgets can be very tight, and it's a good thing to sort of be economical and thrifty on this day. The more we acknowledge and accept that this is just part of our soul's journey to experience this energy, the easier this day is going to be, knowing that it will pass, and you may learn things that are very necessary for your soul's karmic growth. So again, like Saturn's quite a detached kind of planet. If you detach and observe, okay, that's my budget, they're my relationships, these are the things I love to do to feel self-worth and self-value. If you detach and observe all the things that Venus rules in your life with a very objective perspective, you might learn something about yourself and about how you're doing life and functioning in the world that could change everything and support you. Big time in growing your soul, which is really what Saturn wants to achieve. He wants us to grow into maturity. It's the purpose of Saturn. He is the planet of maturity, and that's what he wants for those of us who've incarnated in human form on planet Earth. Finally, because Venus rules love, I would say give yourself the love you need wherever possible. Don't go looking for a savior out there to come and make you feel lovable. No. Do it for yourself. Buy yourself that beautiful bunch of roses that you've passed in the florist, as long as it fits in your budget. Whatever it is that you need to do to make yourself feel valuable and worthy and beautiful, then do it. to sort of help boost your spirits on this day. Indulge in your own self-love. Then also on the 25th of April, lots of action this week, we have Mercury squaring Saturn. Now this is happening because these two, Venus and Mercury, are traveling very close together by this stage. Soon they will be in a conjunction with one another, traveling together through the sky, but they're moving along very close to one another. So boom, we've got Venus square Saturn, and then boom, we've got Mercury square Saturn. Well, I love cleaning the house, said nobody ever, but that's what this is all about. So not only are you feeling a little bit lonely with Venus, but you might be feeling like, oh, my chores, my duties, got to clean, got to cook, they feel like burdens, extra burdens, on this day. Oh my God, I better clean my house before this day because I know I get depressed enough as it is by the state of my house. When anyone wants to volunteer to clean for me, please do. But, if you get depressed by the state of your house, as I do most of the time, then this is going to be exacerbated. Mercury square Saturn, you're cooking, you're cleaning. Oh, that said, so you might feel a little bit like dejected about the state of things, but it is actually a good day for cleaning and doing something productive because Saturn is work. Saturn is to work hard and take your responsibilities seriously. And here is Mercury, which rules like Virgo, doing the domestic stuff like cleaning and cooking, doing useful things. So it is a good day for doing those types of work and being productive. But back to, and we're going to sort of tie in Venus square to Saturn at this time. Remember we were saying that it is an energy of feeling a bit lonely. Well, if you're combining that with on the same day Mercury squaring Saturn, it is going to be a day when we can go down the mental rabbit hole. We can get lost in our woe is me, poor me, it sucks, life's not fair, mental thoughts, decreasing our sense of self-worth and self-value, why me, all that stuff. So to be forewarned is to be forearmed. And that's why I'm sharing this with you. Have strategies up your sleeve so that you can deal with this energy, so that you can, get the best out of it that's possible. We all might struggle on this day, and that behoves us to be very kind to everybody we meet, knowing they're going to be going through this too. So maybe you need to sort of suck it up and grab the vacuum cleaner and start, cleaning the floor. And throwing yourself into that productive work that this is sort of calling us to do. Maybe that's a strategy, but you might have other strategies for lifting yourself out of mental, depression, momentary passing mental depression. Quite frankly, when I get like that, because I'm a Pisces person, I have sleep. My kids roll their eyes. Oh, Mum, your cure for everything is having a sleep. Well, it is actually, because it gives your body a chance to rest, but it also allows the energy to pass. And you don't have to engage in it. You can tap out. Hello, Pisces escapism. Love it. We've all got Pisces somewhere as well. So maybe you might like to look at where Pisces sits in your chart. I don't know, let's say, where's Pisces in this chart? Say the 6th house. Oh, that'd be working and stuff. Tap out by throwing yourself into the garden or cooking something or something like that. But, if Pisces was your 3rd house, tap out by reading a book or studying something. Look at where Pisces is. I'm just going to advocate for Pisces strategies here. Just sort of escape and tap out of the energy if it's really bringing you down. Negative thinking, gloomy attitudes, feeling at odds with your social circle or just your friendship circle maybe as well, can result on this day. They're energies to be aware of. But like I said, channeling this Mercury Saturn square and a bit of Venus Saturn square as well into doing detailed work. You could also do some goal setting as well, because Saturn is to strategize and Mercury is to plan and do detailed work. They both like detailed work, so go for that higher vibrational energy of this. Planning, goal setting, reading, for the purposes of, organizing yourself. Maybe get a calendar, if you're into old school calendars, and lay things out for the coming months or what have you. These can all help. Doing these things are supported by a connection between Mercury and Saturn. Also, anything repetitive as well. So you might have read that book by, I don't know, Liz Green or some wonderful astrologer years ago. I'd say go back and revisit it, whatever book it was that taught you a lot. Go back and revisit it on this day, because Saturn and Mercury in a connection are to repeat something so that it gets instilled in your brain. So revisit old books or old teachings or old, instructional videos or something, and go over them again. You may very well get something new out of them, and that's a better way to channel this energy rather than to be despondent or caught in that mental trap. Now, because we've talked so much in the intro, because there's just so much going on this week energetically in the sky, I wanted to look at something a little bit different for the all signs breakdown. So I want to take a look at what's happening with our second house lords this week. We're going to look at every sign's second house lord, and second house rules finances, self-worth, value systems. The Vedics see it as connected to the family of origin as well. So there's quite a number of things that the second house rules. And the reason I wanted to look at the second house is because Venus is doing so much work this week in the sky, which we've already talked about. Now, why am I talking about Venus and the second house? Venus is very much the tone and the energy of the second house. She rules, the pleasures and the indulgences of life. She rules values and self-worth. She rules money. These are things we see in the second house. So because Venus is so active generally this week, I thought, let's do something a little bit different, and let's take a look at the house she's associated with and what's happening for each sign there. So we're going to start with Aries. Where's my little doodaddy? My little sign, little arrow that represents the horizon line generally. There we are. Aries rising, or sun or moon, you can look at all three. Well, the lord of your second house in whole sign astrology being Taurus, the lord of your second house is Venus. Where is she this week? She's in the second house and she's conjuncting Uranus. So this is a very important interpretation for you. You might be inspired to collect something, perhaps something very unique and quirky when Venus is with Uranus this week. You might decide you're going to go and start collecting rockabilly records, or you think, that maybe that you want to make a collection of beautiful plants, indoor plants. Nature is connected to the sign of Taurus. So, you might start collecting something. You might start, accumulating some sort of luxury item with Venus being here this week. The second house is to conserve, to build up and store, and that's why with Venus ruling luxury items and music and plants and things like that, we can start sort of attracting those into our life and collecting them. You might be using your voice a lot this week because Venus is connected to the use of the voice in this house that's connected to the use of the voice. So you might be singing, you might be making a speech, you might be doing a podcast, you might be recording a YouTube video, you might be very busy with your voice. And you can also capitalize this week on your family heritage in some way. Maybe making money through a family heritage. You might get a surprise. It's not the house of inheritances financially through wills and things, that's the 8th house, but you might find that something surprising comes your way of benefit from the family line. Uranus is surprising. Venus is your second house lord in the second house of the family of origin. So there might be something like you might get grandma's cookbook, and she has decided she's going to give it to you, and got all the recipes from when she was married at 20 years old. And lo and behold, there's this wonderful family heritage item that comes to you, just an example there. So something might come your way with a bit of family connection. People who are Aries rising, sun or moon might find they have to have a checkup at the dentist because the second house rules teeth here. With the second house lord in the second, you might be, getting your teeth looked at. You might be cooking a lot more this week. You might be indulging in something scented. Venus is touch, taste, sight, sound, smell, the 5 senses. So you might be buying a new perfume or some beautiful clothes or eating something yummy or have a massage. All those sensual kind of things that we can do are very predominant this week, and you can be enjoying those things and maybe enjoying them suddenly and out of the blue and unexpectedly because of Venus's tango with Uranus. All right, moving on to Taurus. Taurus rising, sun or moon. Well, your second house in whole sign astrology is the sign of Gemini, and that is ruled by Mercury. Where is Mercury? This week, he's spending most of his time in the first house. So this is a week for for Taurus rising people to continue to learn to deal with financial issues. You're here this week, part of your soul journey this week is to learn how to handle finances and resources better. You might also be here to learn to use your face as part of your self-expression in some way this week. Why is that? Because the second house rules the face, the facial features, and the expression of the face, going into the house of the self this week. So it's about self-expression using your face. So you might be getting some photographs taken. If you run a business, been thinking about getting some business photos done, do it this week. It's a really good energy with Mercury in your first house as your second house lord to do that. Get some business photos taken, or show up on social media using your face, host a Zoom meeting or something like that where your face is present, or participate. Maybe you join Zoom meetings and stuff and you always have your camera turned off. I'd encourage you to turn it on this week because you can benefit more from having your face present in the world as a part of your self-expression this week. You may be very interested also this week in your clothing, fashion, some sort of culture, art that applies to your body. So buying some jewelry, or you might be very interested in buying a new jacket or something, because this is the house of pleasures and indulgences and materiality, which we need to survive in life, going into the house of you. So this week, that could be very important for you to maybe buy a new outfit or some new shoes or something. This week, Taurus people can claim their financial power through their own independent actions. This is the house of your instigation, of your initiation, of taking your own action. It's an action-oriented house, the first house. So by doing those things, by initiating, by taking action, you can claim your financial power this week. Your second house lord moving through your first house. You might also find that this week is a week where you're spending a lot on your self-image and how you present to the world. And sometimes that's a good investment to make. I mean, that's something you'll need to analyze. Is it worth my while paying for that photographer to take professional photos? Is it worth my while buying that new business suit or whatever it is? But you might be investing in some way in your own physical appearance, and I would dare say it's a worthwhile endeavor with the particular transit that's going on this week. Okay, so Gemini rising, sun or moon people, we are seeing your second house in whole sign astrology is ruled by the sign of Cancer. So where is the moon going to be this week? It's going to be traveling for the duration of this week through your second house for a little bit, and also through your third and your fourth house. So this section of the horoscope, you're going to be influenced financially by. Because for Gemini people, you guys have the moon ruling your second house. And the moon is a very fast planet, as we know. It goes around the whole horoscope in 1 month. So there can be a lot of quick energy when you're a Gemini rising sun or moon person connected to your finances and your resources. You get money quickly, you spend money quickly. It doesn't mean that you suffer loss, but there is a high turnover of that financial energy. But because you have the moon as the ruler of the second house, you have a strong need for financial security. So even though there can be a high turnover of material, goods and resources and money and what have you, you won't do so at the cost of your own material stability. That's important to you, Gemini people. And the moon in the second house this week, part of this week, it's there. There's going to be a strong valuing in the early part of this week for you guys on your family heritage in some way, or the lineage that you have. Because that Cancer rules the family heritage and the roots and the lineage, and it's in the house of values for you guys. So this is where your values reside them all the time. And when the moon moves through that section of the horoscope for you this week, it's emphasizing your valuing of heritage, roots, lineage, and the importance of that for you. So you might be connecting with that in some way. Now, because this is a week where we can find, due to the squares with Saturn that are going on, we can find this week might bring us a bit more stress, mental stress. Watch out for eating, because Cancer and the moon moving for a portion of this week through Cancer emphasizes when we get stressed, we eat. This is the house of what we eat, and often sweet things too. So you might be buying more chocolate this week, or having more chocolate eclairs, or visiting the bakery a bit more often than you usually would to cope with the mental stresses that are going to be coming with Mercury Saturn. Forewarned is forearmed, remember. Take time to balance your moods this week wherever you can. And I would just emphasize those strategies I talked about in the intro for you guys, because when your emotions are balanced, your material prosperity is balanced, because both are connected to the second house for you. So the more balanced you can keep your emotions, the better your financial situation will be, and the more you can take back and claim your financial power. Another thing is that this week, with the moon moving through your second house and all this Saturn tension, you might find that you're clinging on to old possessions. Maybe you need to have a big clean out of your cupboard, but no, what if I want to wear that? I haven't worn it in 10 years, but fashion's come back, and I might want to wear those bell-bottom jeans again. That kind of thing. You might sort of be revisiting some area of your material life where you're clinging to something, especially around the time when Venus, which is material goods, and Saturn make that connection later in the week. And being a Cancer ruled second house, you might be clinging on to something rather tightly. I don't know, evaluate whether that's a good thing for you or not now before you go into that energy. And, you might find it easier to let go of some clutter or what have you if you're already mentally prepared for that later in the week. So there's just a few tips about what's unfolding for Cancer strongly this week with this emphasis that we're talking about. For Cancer people, it's going to be a very interesting week for you in terms of claiming your financial power, because the Sun rules your second house of Leo, and this week the Sun is shifting from your 10th house into your 11th house. So for Cancer people, it's a very significant week financially for you, because your financial ruler is changing signs. Let's explore, for the last 30 days or so, the Sun has been in Aries. So let's explore what it's going to mean to have your second house ruler, the Sun, being in Taurus for the next 30 days, your 11th house. Well, this is a wealth yoga. So this could be a very blessed 30-day period for you, with the Sun in second house Lord in the 11th. Yay, could be nice. It would pay for you as best you can for the next 30 days or so to claim your financial power by getting out and networking and connecting and sort of developing a web of social activity. The more you can do that during this influence, the better your career will flourish, the better your finances will flourish, because of the Sun's movement through this house. It's a good time to set up a new website or to create some sort of social media activity, because not only have we got the Sun, second house Lord, bringing you money from a website you develop or a social media account or something, you've got Mercury there as well in the 11th house, and the 11th house is very connected to the internet. So go for it with those kinds of things. It's a time, if you're very creative in thought, where you might invent something very progressive, especially with all these conjunctions to Uranus that are occurring, because Uranus is very inventive and progressive. So take the time to go into your mind and think, okay, well, how could I improve a certain circumstance at work or a certain situation with my company or whatever? And you might come up with progressive inventions that help take you forward more. This is the house of fulfilling your desires, and with the second house lord there for the next month, you're going to perhaps find opportunities to fulfill your desires through spending some money. So, that might mean maybe you want to do a YouTube channel, but hey, I've got the crappiest camera in the world. So what do? You go out and spend a bit of money buying a decent camera or a decent microphone or something so that you can fulfill a dream of being a YouTuber, for example. This is the house of friends. It's also the house of older siblings. So if you've got, the immediately older sibling than you might be able to get some money from them or claim some financial power from them in some way. And by that I mean maybe you've got a great business idea and you need a backer. So you go to your older sibling, hey, you want to back me? Or a friend as well, because remember 11th house is friends. You might go to a friend and say, hey, do you want to back me in my proposal? What do you think? And there can be some financial support coming to you through those avenues if you need it. So for Leo rising, sun or moon people, well, your second house is ruled by the sign of Virgo, and therefore the lord of the second house is Mercury. And this, right now, this week, Mercury is moving through your 10th house. So this is a time where you can claim your financial power through focusing on the 10th house this week. Your career, connections with authority figures, management, managing something that's seen from the 10th house. So maybe you need to manage a certain area of your life better by restructuring that, by organizing that area of your life. You can actually do better financially. I'm trying to think of it as an example. Maybe getting a better work-life balance is going to help you sort of get into that energy of life is working, and then money starts to flow when our energy is right. So restructure something to do with maybe work-life balance or something to do with your career or a relationship with an authority figure. It can be very helpful for you. This is a week when your father or a father type figure, a paternal figure, might be very influential upon your finances. They might have some good financial advice to give you, or maybe they are getting too much involved with your finances and you just need to say, hey, back off a bit, Dad. There might be something happening with a father figure regarding finances for you this week. And it is a week where you can make money due to your good reputation as well. This is the house of reputation. And when the ruler of the house of money, and that's what we're talking about here, financial resources, is going into the 10th house, we can make money through our good reputation. So maybe you've been working diligently and you're Virgo second house. You value hard work and dutiful work and detailed work. And so maybe you've been doing that sort of thing at your employment for a long time and you get recognized for it now. And so making money through your good reputation for fine detail and hard work and so on. So for Virgo rising sun or moon people, thank you, Leos. For Virgo rising sun or moon people, we're seeing the lord of your second house, which is Venus, falling in the 9th house. Now, this is very important because we know Venus is so active this week, making connections with Saturn, connections with Uranus. It's busy. Focus on Venus energy, which is second house energy, and that's the whole reason why we're doing this all signs breakdown. So when we have the second house lord in the 9th, it is actually a wealth yoga, a wealth combination in our natal chart. So it's like you've got sort of this temporary wealth yoga sort of functioning in your chart this week, and gives you great opportunities, Virgo, to claim your personal financial power and to be blessed, quite frankly. This is the house of blessing. So you might find, potentially more than any other sign, that you are blessed financially this week. And look, I'm not saying that for Virgo rising sun or moon people, they're suddenly going to be, as rich as the queen, but there might be some blessing. Somebody shouts you lunch and you don't have to pay, or at the car park they write off your ticket and say, look, don't worry, you don't have to pay that $70 today because of, I don't know, XYZ reason. So financial blessings can come in these little beautiful little gifted ways when you have the second house lord in the 9th, as you will have this week. But it's a really good week to get some financial advice from an inspirational person, some financial advisor or planner or something like that, some sort of financial guru. Maybe grab a copy of Rich Dad, Poor Dad and, get hooked into that this week, or, go and maybe you could even do a little course or a seminar or something like that in financial planning. A good week for indulging in that sort of thing. And if you're somebody who deals with other cultures and in foreign trade, like my ASTRO wheel, I sell it all over the world, and that's an example. If you are somebody who is selling a product overseas, dealing in foreign countries dealing with foreign currencies as part of your making money to survive and thrive on Earth, then this is a great week to see those things kind of go well for you if you're a Virgo person. You might get more orders. You might get an influx of interest in some product that you create or make. This is the second house has to do with our tangible items, not our service items, that's something else, but our tangible stuff, so you might sell an ASTRO wheel, or maybe you've got a set of oracle cards or something that you promote. This can be very, very good for you. You might get an opportunity to start selling overseas perhaps, and maybe that was never an option before, but with the second house lord moving through the ninth house, that can happen too. Some people might get the opportunity to share their belief systems this week, because this is the sign rule, to do with belief systems. And here is Venus moving through your ninth house because this is the sign to do with what you value, and the Lord of the house of values has gone into the house of belief systems. So you're going to be sharing, not your belief systems, you're going to be sharing your value systems as sort of something you really adhere to and believe in with others. And it will usually be very wise advice that you might be giving in this regard, because this week, not necessarily every week, depends where your second house lord is in the natal chart, but this week Venus is in her own sign, and for the next little while actually she's in her own sign of Taurus, your ninth house. So Virgo people, you stand to be significantly blessed this week. You've got this auspicious combination, but not only is it an auspicious combination for a wealth yoga, but it's the planet that's governing this wealth yoga is in her rulership. In the Vedic system, Venus for Virgo people is their financial indicator. So in your natal chart and with transits and everything, always pay attention, Virgo people, to wherever Venus is, because she will tell you about your finances and how you will make money. It's very strong for you Virgo people, Venus as a financial indicator. So foreign trade, other cultures, higher learning, all of these things are on the table to generate money from and to gain more, take back your financial power this week, maybe through advice from a guru or something like that, or maybe you're giving advice to other people and sharing your knowledge financially with others. Oh, one last thing. This is the 8th house from the 2nd, so it could be a week of sudden changes, sudden upheavals maybe that occur, but I don't think, because of the auspiciousness of what's going on here, I don't think it's going to be for negative. It could be sudden blessings. It could be sudden change of financial direction that maybe brings you a windfall or an opportunity or something like that. So looking good for Virgo people financially. All right, Libra rising, sun or moon people. Well, the Lord of your second house is Mars. We're using traditional rulerships here, and Mars rules Scorpio traditionally. Well, Libra people, you stand to be quite blessed, just like Virgo people before you, because this is a wealth yoga. We have your second house lord in the 9th house in this case, and that is a beautiful combination. Now, it's not as auspicious as for Virgo, which I've just talked about, because the second house lord and the 9th house lord for Virgo people are ruled by the same planet. Therefore, the second house lord is in its own sign. But this will be a blessing nonetheless, because it is a temporary transiting wealth yoga. So if you are somebody who buys and sells products overseas, does international trade, it's going to be very auspicious for you, particularly if that trade has something to do with, say, Mars. You'll do very, very well if you're selling, handmade knives or something like that overseas, which is a Mars-ruled thing. So yeah, tools, implements, maybe like I'm a Libra moon person, maybe I'll sell a couple of astrology wheels. They're an astrology tool that we use for our work as astrologers. And so this could be a week of blessing for me. As a Libra moon person, my second house lord is in traveling through the ninth house for us this week. We might be able to generate financial liberation through maybe speaking about what we value, what's important to us, maybe even what we believe in with the second house lord in the ninth, and that can generate some income for us as well. Good week to get some financial advice. If you regularly see a financial advisor or an accountant, connect with them this week. This is the house of like our gurus and teachers, so somebody with a lot more knowledge than us around certain matters. So if you need to speak to a share manager or something like that, or like a guru in financial matters, maybe you want to buy a copy of Rich Dad Poor Dad or something, read that, and sort of get some financial advice, get some financial wisdom from someone. Or you could actually be giving your financial wisdom to somebody this week, not for a living per se, but somebody might say, look, how did you manage to do X, Y, Z? And I'm like, well, let me tell you, try this, try that. This is what worked for me. That could be happening as well, where you're giving wisdom. The ninth house is wisdom, and you've got your financial lord, Mars, moving through there. Another thing that this is all about, not particularly Mars itself, but this week you might have a lot of foresight, because the ninth house is a house of prophecy. And so you might have a lot of foresight with finances this week. You might just get like the prickling of your thumbs that's telling you, I should buy that property, or, I should invest in whatever it happens to be that you get suddenly strangely excited about. Listen to those intuitive things going on within you, because this, like I said, your financial planet is moving through the house of prophecy. Tune into your intuition and see what it's telling you financially this year. It could actually help you to claim back your financial power, or just maybe you're not claiming it back, maybe you're just growing it. But it looks good for Libra, rising, sun and moon people financially this week because of this. So if you happen to be Scorpio rising, sun or moon people, well, we're looking at how you can claim your financial power this week, and we're looking at what the second house lord is up to. So in that sense, we're looking at Sagittarius for Scorpio people, and lucky Scorpio people, their second house of finances is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is currently in the fourth house. It's going to be there pretty much until the end of the year. There will be a period between May and July, end of July, when Jupiter won't be there. It'll move into the fifth house. But in general, particularly we're looking at the week ahead, Jupiter is influencing the fourth house. So currently, this is a time when you might be, for the whole of this year, but particularly in the next week, you might be looking at real estate. You might be thinking of, renovating your property so that you can on-sell it. Or maybe you're thinking of buying an Airbnb or an apartment to rent out or something. These things can be at the forefront of your mind, and it's a good year for investing in those kinds of domestic style things while Jupiter is in the fourth house. Now, we know that Saturn is also in the fourth house, but it's not that Saturn is stopping you from pursuing financial growth here. It's just that he's going to make sure, because that's what Saturn does, he makes sure that you dot your I's and cross your T's, that you behave maturely, that you look for something, with the fine detail, fitting everything that you need. He's not going to tolerate sort of shoddy work when it comes to upgrading your domestic environment or making money through a real estate deal. So he can give you some good benefits there that are going to protect you in the long term. Now, I'm not saying that you need to run out and invest in real estate. Wherever Jupiter goes does not necessarily mean that's where we've got to invest our money, unlike the way Uranus behaves. But the energy of Jupiter for you specifically, Scorpio, does rule this house. Is very auspicious for Jupiter for Scorpio people, because he rules the second house of money and the fifth house of luck as well. So Scorpio people can be very blessed wherever Jupiter is currently transiting, because he is their financial significator and rules two beneficial houses. This is a time this next week or so, and for you guys longer into the year, when your mother might have some bearing on how you invest your money. She might have some wise counsel, some wise advice, some information, some insight. So it's worth sort of, if you're looking at, investing, get, the word from your mother or from the maternal line. Check out what she thinks. Or if if your father was the more nurturing parent in the family, go to your father. If this parent, the more nurturing parent, is wanting to, open a restaurant or a B&B or something like that, and they come to you looking for backing, then it's something worth considering in this particular year of your life while Jupiter is moving through your fourth house. You may, be in a position where you can offer some assistance, and it could be well supported. More so than when Jupiter for you guys was in the third house, because it was in Capricorn and Jupiter's debilitated in Capricorn. This is not so bad here, Jupiter in Aquarius. But you might like to think, if you want to claim back some financial power, you might like to think this year about renting out a room, or you might like to think about making money from home in some way. So it might be that you're making a product in your garage and selling it on Etsy or something like that. Working from home can actually be quite lucrative for you guys this year. I would just encourage you, if you are looking at making any big financial investments, get a reading from an astrologer who knows their stuff with this sort of thing, rather than just taking this general read. But certainly, in a general sense, it is looking promising in the next week or so, with Jupiter and the situation that he's in the fourth house, investing in home and domestic environment. Also mining, pulling anything up from underground. You might be thinking about silver or gold or something of that nature. Jupiter this week is making some positive aspects to your sun, or to the sun rather, and the sun rules your 10th house. So if you can do your career from home, working from home, it would be probably financially lucrative to do so, or to look into maybe doing that this year. The sun rules your 10th house and Jupiter is your financial significator. So that's what I'm seeing in this current season that we're in with regard to finances and claiming back your power. One last thing that you guys need to be aware of this year, particularly with Jupiter's position here, is comfort eating, because Jupiter rules the house of eating. Jupiter is very big and expansive naturally, and it's in the fourth house of emotional comfort. So comfort eating, if you find that you're sad and down and you're reaching for the block of chocolate or that extra, potato cake or whatever it is that you happen to enjoy, do think twice, because it can be a source of comfort eating for you this year that could expand the waistline. For Sagittarius rising sun or moon people, well, for you guys, your financial significator is Saturn. And Saturn for you, this year, actually the next couple of years, Sagittarius people, your financial significator is sitting for you in the third house. So this is a really good time to do some slow building, methodical building, because that's the nature of Saturn, regarding maybe a website or a social media page, or making money from contributing to Etsy, or something that's online, something that's very connected. You might even be preparing, researching and structuring a course that you want to sell or to teach or something. You might be learning something, and that's ultimately in the long term going to bring you a lot of money. Saturn as your financial significator doesn't necessarily mean big sudden windfalls, but it does mean long, diligent work towards a significant financial gain in the long term through diligence and maturity. So working on learning something, being a student so that you can get a certificate or get the knowledge. Saturn is to gain a certificate or some sort of approval, like fitting the rules and the regulations rather than flying by the seat of your pants with something. Saturn wants you to do that and to learn something while he's transiting this area of the chart. But it's going to help you with your financial situation to do so, because Saturn is connected to your second house and is actually in a sign that he rules as well, traditionally Aquarius. So that's going to be bringing you a lot of blessing also. I'd also encourage you to invest in your skills, to really put some time and energy into skills development. Again, we're talking about learning new things or expanding your skills to, take on some more refined mastery, because Saturn is mastery. And so if you're mastering, just say you're a woodworker and you've hacked around in your garage for a while, or maybe it's time to go do a TAFE course and get some sort of certification and up your skills just that bit more. This is where you can generate more income in the long term. Also, you might find that cousins or relatives or siblings might have opportunities for you to invest in as well. Consider that, ponder on it. Don't rush into anything. Saturn would never rush anyway, but, this can be an opportunity potentially for the next week or so, not for the next week or so, the next year or so, as things grow and progress, if you've got an opportunity to go in with a sibling. Of course, if that's what you're looking at, it would pay to get an assessment done of your natal chart to see whether there is blessing available to you personally for working with siblings, or relatives and what have you. But while Saturn is here, Saturn is work, and with a long-term view in mind, long-term gain, especially while Jupiter's there, because he's big picture and sees the big picture of things and what could be accomplished. And so, you could definitely find that working with these people, neighbours even as well, friends, could pay off for you quite well in the long run. Okay, Capricorn rising, Sun or Moon people. You guys have your second house lord, and we're talking traditional astrology here. Your lord of your second house traditionally is Saturn. He is sitting in the second house. So that means for the next year or so, you have potential to, or a bit longer than a year, 2 years, potential to make some money with second house based things. You might be using your voice more. Maybe you've started a podcast. Maybe you've started a YouTube channel where you're using your face and your voice. Both the face and the voice are connected to the second house, and these are good areas for you to look at making money while your second house lord is in the second house by transit. So, if you've ever thought about doing that, putting your face and your voice out there to generate money for you, then I would do so under this transit. Saturn in his own sign, which is quite auspicious, particularly this year with Jupiter there as well. So this is an area where you can utilize this energy to claim back personal power financially in your life. It's also a house of values and what we value. This is an interesting year because Saturn might indicate that you're valuing old things and you're looking into, even though it's Aquarius, very progressive sign, but Saturn brings that looking at the past, traditions. So you might be able to do something very progressive with something very traditional in your life, something of family significance from the past, maybe, and I've used this illustration quite a few times, but maybe grandma has a cookbook and you received the cookbook one year, photocopy of it or something, and you think, I'm going to bake through grandma's cookbook. And maybe I'll do a YouTube, because we're talking about the internet with Aquarius here, maybe I'll do a YouTube channel, baking each week through grandma's cookbook, and then I'll sell the cookbook at the end of it. So you're using your family lineage, which is family is connected to the second house in Vedic astrology. You're using something old from the past, Saturn, in a progressive way, Aquarius, to make money, second house. So there's an idea for you, but it doesn't have to be the cookbook idea. You might have something else that fits those parameters that can generate money for you. And because it's Saturn, we're looking at a long-term process, like a YouTube, bake through grandma's cookbook thing would be a long-term process, not a one-off kind of overnight thing. So you can see there's a lot of potential here for Capricorn people to do something with their second house lord in the long term. So that's an area where you can be focused for now and for the whole 2 years ahead on reclaiming personal power in terms of finances and resources. All right, so Aquarius rising, sun or moon people, we are looking at the Lord of your second house is Jupiter. Jupiter rules Pisces in traditional astrology, and so we're looking at where we can utilize the current energies to take back our or claim our personal power financially. And Jupiter, the ruler of your second house, is sitting in the first house for the majority of this year. There will be a piece of time between May and July, end of July, when Jupiter will be in your second house, going to enhance the potential for making money for you then. But while he's in the first house, the rest of this year, let's take a look at that. This is a period where you're learning to manage your financial resources, and because Saturn is there as well with your second house lord, then we're learning to restructure our financial resources this year if you're an Aquarian person. So this is an important life lessons, obviously, but Jupiter's going to really help you do it well. You might do so. You might be investing, or you might be learning to deal with resources through second house types of things, luxuries, anything tactile that you can touch, taste, see, hear and smell, perfumes, food, clothing, music or something like that, the voice, the face. These are things ruled by the second house, can actually be very wise choices of investing your time and energy and money, and even research into how you can use those things to your advantage, to be assets for you in creating wealth. This is also a year when you can use your face and your body to make you money. Second house lord in the first. And so the first house is the house of the body, and the second house is the house of the face. So using yourself and your image to make money is the way you should be focusing this year. So, if you're a real estate agent, you want to do what Phil Dunphy does and put his face on the side of their panel van or on a park bench or something like that to promote you, and use your face and your body as the advertising mechanism to make money. Maybe you decide you're going to start doing podcasts using your voice. Maybe you decide you're going to start doing videos on YouTube, and you utilize that to generate some income for you. It's a good year for doing those sorts of things, using a combination of the second house and the first house to help you with resources and to sort of give you some financial oomph. But it's also a year where you're going to need to make your own efforts. This is an autonomous house, the first house. It's about doing things your way, taking the initiative, instigating something yourself, rather than waiting for someone to give it to you. It's not a year for getting a big inheritance from anybody. It's not a year for waiting for the boss to say, hey, you're fantastic, let me give you a raise and a promotion and blah, blah, blah. No, it's you taking action and initiative to generate your wealth. It's being your own savior regarding financial circumstances and well-being. So that might mean starting some sort of entrepreneurial endeavor on the side. It might mean that you start selling, your paintings on Etsy, or jewelry or something on Etsy. You take the initiative with something that you are good at, or putting yourself out there in some way, using your identity to promote something that's important to you financially, that brings in your own money. Because the second house is the money that you make to support your body and its journey through life. So that's why we're exploring this week. The other reason is that Venus, which is the significator of money generally, is doing a lot of activity this week. So I thought it'd be a good chance to explore money in the chart for each sign at this point. So use your body, use your identity, take initiative. These are the strategies. And for you with Jupiter, your second house lord in the first house all year, pretty much all year, that's what you should be focused on doing. It's also possible that because the Lord of your values, what you value, what is important to you materially, is sitting in your first house, you're going to be thinking a lot about your material needs and your material values this year and how you can make more money. It's going to be prominent in your life and in your mind this year. It's also a year when you might spend money on your physical appearance in some way. So you might be wanting to, give yourself a makeover that's more progressive, more modern, more trendy, rather than being stuck in the past this year, because Aquarius is your body and how you look, and you might be spending money on bringing your look up to date, or maybe making it very progressive, very future oriented. So that can be an area where you will spend money this year, but you can utilize that to sort of help you in the long term as well, especially with Saturn moving through your first house. So Pisces rising, and thank you once again, dear Pisces, for waiting until last. If you're a Pisces rising, Sun or Moon, your financial significator in the Vedic system of astrology is Mars. And that's because Mars happens to rule your second house of material resources, and it also rules your ninth house, Scorpio, traditionally, ninth house of blessing and luck. So for Pisces people, Mars is very important financially all the time. But this week we're having a look at finances in astrology and where our financial significator is falling. And this week for Pisces rising people, we are seeing a big focus on the fourth house, where Mars, Lord of the second house, their financial significator, resides. So this is interesting. Money for the next week or so can be made through, your home. So it could be that you're selling a product from home, or, you might be cleaning for somebody and they pay you money if you're, doing some domestic cleaning or cooking for somebody. These sort of fourth house things where you might be able to sort of generate a bit of income for yourself this week. It's also possible that you might, get the chance to, for some people, they might have been thinking about investing in an apartment or buying a new house or selling their old house. And this is a week where there can be some support for that happening. In fact, the last couple of weeks has probably been very supportive for that, with your financial significator moving through the fourth house. It's going to be another 2 years before Mars is back in this realm of the chart, focusing on your domestic environment and your home. So it's a good time when Mars is here. It indicates, because this is it's not like super rare like a Saturn transit through the fourth house would be, but it's rare enough, like it's going to be 2 years before the focus will be there again, to sort of, maybe make the most of it. Maybe it's a time for looking at getting a reno done so that you can increase the value of your home. That could be important. As Mars is your financial significator. The renovation, not necessarily seen by Mars, but the increasing the value of your domestic property could be. I'd also encourage you, Pisces, if you are looking at investing or, maybe purchasing some minerals or gold or silver or something that comes from the ground, which is the fourth house thing, that is an option for you this week, but I would encourage you to get advice about doing that. Don't just this is a very general read, so don't just say, oh, Kesenya said. No, it's a general read that we're looking at. But if you are thinking about that, it would be worthwhile getting some advice, and I would almost encourage you actually to get advice from maybe your nurturing parent, the parent that was, the comforting parent. That's the fourth house parent. So that could be, usually it's the mother, but it's sometimes in this modern day and age, the man. The masculine energy can be the more nurturing of the two in some circumstances, in some families. So reach out to whoever was a nurturing parent or a sort of a maternal influence in your life. It doesn't even have to be a parent. It could be an aunt, it could be a grandmother, it could be a friend who was the maternal influence in your life, for some advice, some wisdom regarding finances and money and how you're spending your money. It's there's a positive influence here. And of course, Mars is making a sextile to the Sun, which is your sixth house. So this could indicate making money from home, doing some sort of work that you do, like daily work. I mean, I'm a Pisces rising. I make money by working at home. That's what I do. And so, I might have the opportunity this week with this energy to do quite well financially from home with my everyday work. Now, if you don't work from home, you might get an opportunity to maybe bring some work home. If you don't work from home regularly, you might get an opportunity to bring work home, and it could be very lucrative potentially for you working from home in some way this week. Also, it's a good week, if you've ever thought about making money utilizing your home, turning your home into an asset rather than a liability, then you might be able to rent out a room or start running part of your home as an Airbnb if you're in a privileged position to be able to do that sort of thing. So you can, maybe do some stuff that creates and generates finances for you in your home, and you might start doing that this week, or see opportunities at the very least for that to happen for you this week. Where we've got a bit of a loose trine happening. It's not drawn on the board, but between Jupiter and Mars too. Your ruling first house lord, Jupiter, to your financial significator, that can see you do very well financially because of that this week. So that is what we are seeing in terms of the various ways we can sort of claim our financial power this week. Thought I'd look at something different just to shake things up a bit, and to make things a bit more interesting, and I hope that you found this very beneficial. Now, my gold and silver patrons, you will be getting from now on a weekly oracle card forecast for all signs, where I'll be doing a video, doing a read with my oracle cards for each sign. And this is exclusively for gold and silver star patrons. So really pleased to be able to offer this divination forecast for you guys who are so precious to me. But I'm also doing a 1 card read for the week ahead for all of us at the end of my astrology videos. So this week I've pulled a card from the Gaia deck, and it's this card, the Perception card, Beyond the Veil of Illusion. The lady featured on this card looks directly at the observer. She radiates love and wisdom, and yet stands firmly in her own truth. From this standpoint, she is able to see beyond the veil of illusion. She's shown up in our reading today to reflect these same qualities within us. You're advised to stand your ground with regards to a particular person or issue. Stand within your own truth and don't be swayed by another's beliefs, opinions, or views. If it doesn't feel right, then it's not. Trust your intuition and gut feeling on this one. Be true to yourself. You can respect another's views without having to change your value system. If it doesn't align with your values, then don't take it on. So that's our oracle card to end the Astro Weather Report this week. I'll catch you with next week's Astro Weather Report next Saturday. Till then, have a great week and be blessed.